Hockey Top Insider presents the RTI Lowdown with Bob Baskerville and Chris Lowe.
Welcome. Time for another edition of the RTI Lowdown. Cold outside, man, but hey, we're getting ever closer to March, and we know spring is just around the corner. I'm Bob Baskerville, your host, joined as always by my esteemed co-host. You know him from On 3 and probably all sorts of other things, a very credentialed guy and a good friend. It's Chris Lowe. CeeLo, how are you, man?
Hey, Bob, I'm a little, can't really tell today because of the color, but wearing my blue in honor of the American hockey team winning gold for the first time.
There we go.
In 46 years. I can't believe it's been 46 years since the Miracle on Ice, but man, what an incredible sporting event today. I thought of my late mom this morning. My mom, 46 years ago, let my brother and I stay home from church that Sunday morning when we beat the Finns to win the gold medal. Actually, everybody thinks about the Miracle on Ice. That was for the semis when we beat the Russians. We actually had to beat the Finns in the gold medal game, and that was a Sunday morning game, much like today. And we never stayed home from church, but she let us that Sunday morning to watch the gold medal. And I lost my mom 10 years ago, so I thought about her this morning when we won the gold. And boy, just I'm not a huge hockey fan. I do like hockey.
Yeah.
But boy, as fun a sporting event to watch as I've been around or viewed in a long time this morning.
Yeah, I have to admit, I haven't seen a whole lot of the Winter Olympics here, and it's wrapping up. It's over, essentially. But I did make time this morning to watch that. That was pretty amazing to see. And I was a little guy, but I still think back to well, not little, but I think back to the Miracle on Ice in 1980, and it's always getting the feels when your country wins something like that, particularly against Canada, who's the most intense rival that we have in that sport. So kind of cool. The other thing that's gone on the last couple of days, and I know it's probably been on your mind too, Chris, because we all crossed paths with the guy, and that was the unfortunate and sudden passing of longtime, well-renowned local journalist Wes Rucker, and just a tragic, horrible story. Most people who are into sports and listen to shows like ours know, by and large, at least the cliff notes of what has happened, and most notably, he's no longer with us, and that's just very sad for obviously his family. But what we've learned in the last couple of days is how many people's lives he actually impacted too.
Mm-hmm. I had not had a chance to be around Wes as much in recent years as I did back when I was with Tennessean, covering Tennessee every day. And I met Wes when he was just starting out in the business as a student working at the Daily Beacon. And doing some things there on campus. And guys, that was back in 2000, so over 20 years ago. And he's just been he was a fixture. He's one of those guys when you walked into a press box or on press row at basketball games or a press conference, or anytime I did happen to be on campus over the last decade or plus, he was always there, always talking to somebody, never met a stranger, so opinionated, so willing to debate. So willing to stand on what he felt like was the right thing, never back down. And that's the thing, not the thing I admired the most in him, okay, but I admired that in him as a journalist. The thing I admired most in Wes was how much he loved his little boy, Hank, loved his wife, Lauren, and how much he was willing to share his love for them and his family, and how proud he was. And not everybody's comfortable putting their personal things like that out there publicly, but he was, because quite simply, he was so proud of them. And that's, I think our heart break for Lauren and Hank. And it's been as awful as this is, to see the people in and around Vol Nation, and not just in Vol Nation, but out there in the media. Scott Van Pelt, Kirk Herbstreit, Rocky Top Insider, very generous with their donations. And I would ask people as we go forward to continue to go
Yes.
to the GoFundMe page that Wes's sister Molly set up. And I haven't been on it today, but I know at one point it was approaching $600,000. And go help that family. And please go help that family. Best, I don't care if it's $5 or whatever it is, but it's been just so. I'm not surprised, having lived, Bob, in this community for 27 or 28 years and been an alumnus at the University of Tennessee, to see people, whether they hated what Wes wrote or agreed word for word on what he wrote, come together and do what they can in this time of tragedy to help his family.
Amen to that. I only met Wes on a couple of occasions, so I can't claim that I was close with him or knew him that well, but I was certainly familiar with his work. And I keep using the term, what I saw when I would see his work, because he was kind of polarizing, quite honestly, but he was authentic. There's no doubt. You kind of, he is who he, or was who he was, and was unapologetic about it. And I think there is something to be said for that too. And like you said, I can speak for some of the younger RTI guys who are our co-workers, who have crossed paths with him on numerous occasions, and how kind he has been to all of them, as young up and comers. And it doesn't always happen that way, as some other folks may be a little more, competitive, and maybe not as kind as Wes apparently was. And so for all of that, I agree with you. We all should lend a hand to help Lauren and the family and everyone else. And and again, the one takeaway is what you just said too. I've seen it on social media where a lot of times it's kind of toxic and mean-spirited. For a little bit of time, it felt like there was some civility there. And I think that was a nice outcome too. And I think someone like Wes wouldn't have wanted that any other way. He was probably smiling if he had any understanding of that happening as a result of his passing. Maybe he made the world a little nicer for a day or two, because boy, do we ever need that too.
Yeah.
So,
well, he was always willing to help. That I'm glad you pointed that out. Younger people, he wanted to grow the business.
Yep.
It was important to him, younger people getting into the business, that he sort of take them under his wing and point them in the right direction, give them advice, encourage. It's a tough business. I mean, I'm not going to mince words. It's maybe as tough as it's ever been. And Wes was always one of those who would say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? You need to do this. Because really, Wes was an example of someone who early on wasn't afraid to sort of think outside the box and to get into radio and to do podcasts and not just go right. And it is such a multimedia business now. And Wes was an example of that and everything he did. We're going to miss him. And certainly the Tennessee sports community will miss him because and this is, to me, is the greatest testament to someone in our business, is people read him and they wanted to hear what he had to say. They may disagree with him vehemently, but they read him. They always wanted to go hear what Wes's opinion was on a game or something that happened with a team or a player.
Yeah.
And he was never afraid to give his opinion. And I admired that in him.
Well, you mentioned, and hats off to, like you said, it's reached far and wide, whether it was Van Pelt, Herbstreit, Shannon Terry with
my boss, Shannon Terry, you guys, right? I mean, it was, that's been heartwarming.
And also behind enemy lines, so to speak, too. Matt Jones, Kentucky Sports Radio, very, very, just very kind and generous in his words and his actions. It's been pretty amazing to see. So we'll be monitoring that closely. But of course, we pass along our condolences and wish all the best and positive vibes to the Rucker family, to Lauren and Hank and the rest of the family. Let's get going on today's show, though, first. And I would also ask listeners and viewers, if you're checking us out on the YouTube channel, Rocky Top Insider, please like and subscribe. That's the way we're growing this brand and this show. We're getting really good support, and we certainly appreciate that, but keep spreading that love. Also, if you listen to us as a podcast, that's great too. Make sure you download it wherever you get your podcast, because we're available wherever you listen to your podcast. We have so much to discuss on today's show. We now have clarity on the status of Joey Aguilar's pursuit for another season of eligibility for Tennessee football. We could probably spend a whole hour on that one because it's kind of nebulous, but I do think now we know. And I think that that's probably good, all told, even though the outcome might have not been what a lot of people were hoping for. We'll recap the court's ruling, which came down on Friday, and what it means for the QB1 position on Rocky Top in 2026. Tennessee men's basketball finishes off a strong week with 2 more wins, and they are now in full ascent mode in the SEC conference and likely in the NCAA tournament bracket projection. So we'll break that climb down between Chris and I, but also we'll be joined by a friend of the show and VFL, Ron Slay, will be joining us here shortly. And in the spirit of Olympic and national pride, of course, we might talk a little more about hockey at the end, time permitting. We'll have to see. But first, before that, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, the Tate Insurance Group. This episode is brought to you by the Tate Insurance Group. And if you are in the market for a great locally based insurance professional to help you with your car, your home, your business coverage, you don't need to look any further. They're right here. It's the Tate Insurance Group, and we surely appreciate their partnership with The Lowdown. Topic A, Joey Aguilar has his day in court. The judge rules, and it is not in Joey's favor. We got the verdict at the end of the day on Friday, kind of convenient. You probably know this world better than I, Chris, as far as the Friday headline dump, kind of end of business day. That's when the verdict came out. Judge Chris Haggerty denies Joey that additional year of eligibility. And like I said a minute ago, so now we know. I'm going to ask you, Chris, how do you feel about the verdict at this point?
Well, if you were watching our show last week, I said then, and not because I'm any legal expert, just talking to people who are and who had watched that hearing, are in that world. And we said last week on the show that I had a feeling that he had more of a chance not winning than he did winning, again, based on the people I talked to. And that's what happened. And I also felt very strong that we would get a decision this past week, and we did on Friday. It was paramount for Joey and for Tennessee that it really not drag on any longer. Now, he's going to go to the combine, and certainly wish him all the best as he moves forward with his career in football. He was already planning to go to the combine, was going to go for just 48 hours to preserve his eligibility in case he did win the ruling. Now I would say he'll stay for the entire time. For Tennessee, this is you would probably get some people, if you prompt Truth Serum and the people there in the program, this is not the end of the world for them. They knew that with Joey coming back, he would give them maybe certainly this year to start the season a better chance to win because of his experience, Bob. He knew the offense. This would be his second time through. But now you sort of find out about your future quarterback. Welcome George McIntyre. Welcome Faison Brandon. Welcome the Staub kid, the transfer from Colorado. We're going to have a full-fledged quarterback competition. I think McIntyre's the guy to beat. Whoever it is, though, it's going to be somebody who's really never played many, if any, meaningful snaps of football. There were a lot of people who felt like that McIntyre should have played the bowl game last year against Illinois. Now, it turns out he didn't. Well, and you had company. Aguilar played. I think Tennessee actually paid him more money, additional money, to play in that game. And so, we all wish we had, hindsight's always 20/20. So I don't think there's any question that there's a belief there on that staff that McIntyre can spin it. He can throw the football. They like his arm strength. They like the fact that he's a kid who's won, just comes from really good stock, but he just hasn't played. And physically, that's the question. How durable is he? That he's still trying to get bigger and gain weight. That's sort of been his challenge, Bob. And it's not that he's been necessarily negligent. It's just been a struggle for him. And as you know, in the SEC, you go back and look through this past year, half the teams at some point have to play more than one quarterback during the course of the year. And who's that going to be if something happens to him? Again, we're assuming that he wins the job. I don't think we can assume anything at this point. But it will be a little bit of trial by error for Tennessee at the quarterback position. being able to protect him, his chemistry with the receiving core, all the different things that go into when you put in a brand new starter at quarterback. And Tennessee's schedule, I think this is the thing that we shouldn't forget, is going to be harder than this last year's schedule was. You go on the road, you play at Georgia Tech early in the season. You've got a schedule, I think, in the conference that's probably harder. So going to be a challenging year. We'll find out what this team, this program, the staff, a lot of changes, certainly on defense. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the other thing I would say. You ask about the ramifications, because to me, it's not all going to be on whoever is the quarterback, George or whoever it is, the offensive staff. Tennessee's got to play better on defense to help protect the quarterback, whoever it is, to help protect the offense and not put the kind of pressure on the offense to have to score 38, 40 points every game to win, Bob.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I'm at a point where a little bummed at the outcome, but you talked about it last week. We both did, of what this could mean in terms of the impact for collegiate sports in general and what else was going to happen if this ruling went in Joey's favor beyond just what Tennessee's interests were. So from that perspective, I'm kind of relieved, I think is the word that comes to mind for me, that it's maybe this is the beginning of a pattern that we're going to see between that and Bediako and other things, where we're going to start seeing some rulings trying to help the NCAA, kind of put some guardrails up that makes it a little more less ambiguous, I guess would be the proper word. I think that's going to be important. Now, will it impact Tennessee's ability to win some games next season? Possibly. I mean, that's the reality of it. I think, we've got to hope that we've got a good running attack, that we've got this defensive rebuild is as advertised. There's going to be a lot of things so as not to put too much pressure on George McIntyre, but the last thing I'll say on this too is I think it's okay to go back in time a little bit and have a good old fashioned quarterback competition, right? We've got these 5-star guys coming in. Let's see what they can do. I mean, everything's so in the here and now and so immediate. It's tough to cope with that sometimes, saying, okay, man, it might mean it's an 8-win season. Worst case scenario could be even worse than that, maybe a 7-win season, and who knows what that means for the following season. But I think it's what we're left with. We don't have much of a choice right now.
Well, McIntyre and Brandon both were guys right at the top of the list, Tennessee's list. If you went back and looked at their recruiting board in both those cycles, both of those kids were right there at the very top. These aren't kids that they settled for. These are the quarterbacks they wanted, Bob. Paid a lot of money to get them. Both these kids are making well over $1 million. And let's see. Let's go. Let's see what you got. Let's see who wins it. You got to win the locker room. You got to win your teammates. You can't fool the players. They're going to know through spring practice, through summer workouts, on into preseason camp, who's the best guy, who gives them the best chance to win. And there is no more sort of everyone's sort of stuck in purgatory. Is Joey going to win his hearing? Is he not going to win his hearing? Is he going to be back? Well, he's not going to be back. And I think that's the way you've got to proceed now, is you move forward and you find out, hey, were Val's right? Are these kids as good as we think they are? How will they handle competition? How will they rally the guys around them? How much will the guys buy in to what they do, their strengths, all the things that you got to do as a quarterback? And we're about to start to find that out. The spring practice starts next month.
Yep. We'll be watching for sure. And we'll keep you posted as things evolve with this, because, technically Joey could appeal, but, I think the runway to do that, it's not going to have any impact on what's going to happen with the upcoming season. So
I don't think anybody expects that to
feels
impact his eligibility this year. Right.
Yeah, it feels like it'd be kind of a fool's errand, in my opinion. Let's pivot for a few minutes before our guest segment to Tennessee basketball. The Vols build on their late season momentum. 2 impressive wins in this past week, with wins over Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. We'll start very quickly with Oklahoma, which was on Wednesday night. The Vols turned in what at the time appears to be their most complete performance, for sure, in probably 2 months. I'd say back to maybe the Louisville win. They routed the Sooners 89-66. Now, the typical headliner here, Chris, it applies. The Vols dominate the glass, the offensive rebounds, the points in the paint, the second chance points. We know the drill. They also shot well. They shot 52% from the field. I think the key in this game, there were two areas that have haunted Tennessee all season, and they were actually areas where they showed strength in this game. First off, the Vols built a big lead, and then they let OU back in. It was a 6-point game at the 6-minute mark. Now, have we heard this before this season? Yes, it happens a lot. But instead of wilting, Tennessee powers through 23-6 run to end the game in those last 6 minutes. They also shot better at the free throw line. They shot 72%. They also had only 7 turnovers against a season high 22 assists. So a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. That's playing winning basketball, Chris.
They were balanced too. When you look at Tennessee at home, and listen, it's not a news flash. Most teams are better at home than they are on the road. But when Tennessee's balanced and continues to pound people inside, they're at home, but they're a tough out. I know Kentucky beat them, but to see them just pull away and really just finish that basketball game and do the things that you got to do at home to win, to finish a game was music to Rick Barnes' ears and certainly Tennessee fans, because that's, you go back to even Kentucky at home when their only loss when they were up by 17, they didn't finish this game. My sense is this team's is continuing to mature, to continue to, sometimes listening is the best thing you can do is in any profession, certainly any sport, is listen to your coach and hear what he's trying to teach you and tell you. And I think this team is starting to get it. There's still some things that they're not doing perfectly, but they have grown a lot as a team. And we've seen individuals grow. We continue to see the young guys grow. Certainly Amen has grown. But I think to be able to serve at your home court, and if Tennessee, Bob, is going to continue to move up in the seedings in the NCAA tournament, I think they got to win the rest of their games at home. So that was certainly, as we go down the stretch now, Tennessee's got, 2 more games at home?
Yeah.
4 total, 2 on the road, 2 at home. I think Tennessee's got to win both games at home. If they do that against 2 really good basketball teams, you got Alabama at home, you got Vandy at home, I think Tennessee's got a great chance. And we're going to talk to Ron Slay later on. I'll get his take on this, your take too.
Sure.
I think they got a chance to move into that one of those top 4 seeds.
I agree. I think that's really, I've heard some folks get, probably some of the same folks who were highly critical of this team and Rick Barnes and Nate Ament just a couple of weeks ago. Now they're like, hey, we could win out and be a 3 seed. I think that's maybe a bridge too far, but I think getting to a 4 seed is realistic. I really think so. But to your point, I think what that means is you got to take care of business for the remainder of the regular season. Mm-hmm. They now have a pretty solid chance at this point. They're tied for second in conference because they beat Vandy yesterday. And of course, when Slade joins us, we'll talk a little more about that as well. But they're comfortably in a second place tie in the conference standings, which to me leads me to believe they're going to get one of those 4 double bye slots in the SEC tournament coming up just in a matter of weeks. And not that the conference tournament performance seems to matter much with the selection committee. We've seen that. I think it's more important for this team when you think of JP Estrella, who didn't play at all this week, and some of the other guys. Just getting the rest is going to be incredibly important. So I think it is paramount that they take care of these games. It starts on Tuesday night against Missouri in Columbia, 9 p.m. game on Tuesday night. Those are always a little treacherous, I would say. So that one worries me a little. But then you got Alabama at home, then back on the road against South Carolina, and then Vandy comes to Knoxville to wrap things up. So should be interesting. While we wait for we get ready to prepare for our segment with Ron Slay, let's talk for a second about the Vanderbilt game, because Oklahoma, that win was expected. I mean, I maybe not as much of a blowout as it turned out to be, but we knew Oklahoma was one that we should go get on our home court. The next opponent was going to be much tougher, and that happened over this past weekend. On Saturday, the Vols traveled to Nashville to face 19th ranked Vanderbilt. Chris, this one was back and forth, 20 lead changes, 7 ties, and the Vols had to weather multiple storms. They were down 9 points on a couple of occasions in this game, but they just grinded out a 69-65 win over the Commodores. And to me, this felt like, again, this was like Rick Barnes culture, Tennessee basketball culture. That's what I kept thinking about when I watched this game, because so many people contributed to this victory.
Well, Rick was outstanding. I mean, we don't probably talk enough about coaching, but the way he subbed defense for offense down the stretch and seemed to press all the right buttons. And it had guys on the court that needed to be on the court at the right times of the game. They got key minutes from Ethan Berg. Boswell probably made the 2 biggest back-to-back plays or baskets of the game. Of course, we talk a lot about Amit's shot where people were hanging on to him, and he still makes the shot there. Didn't shoot well, but made the shot he had to make. Even, a freshman like Amari Evans, they get good minutes out of him. So, yeah, when you're going to win on the road, and certainly when we get Ron Slay, he can talk about playing in that arena. When you go to that place and have to play against a really good, well-coached Vanderbilt basketball team, you better have balance. You better have different guys that aren't the usual suspects who make big plays for you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that the thing I really like, too, when I think about all of this is, statistically, in every measure, Tennessee had the edge in this game, outside of maybe 3-point shooting percentage, because Vandy hit some crazy threes, quite honestly. But I think that everything else, again, rebounds, the usual suspects, right? Rebounds, offensive rebounds. We shot better overall. We shot better at the line than Vanderbilt. But for the 3rd straight game, the Vols had single-digit turnovers. And I think that that's something that, boy, that's coming in just the nick of time, because we've been seeing all season long. At one point in the early portion of the SEC schedule, Chris, Tennessee was averaging 17 turnovers a game in SEC games. Just absolutely, positively crazy. So, I mean, when I think of that, and now we've had 3 consecutive games with single-digit turnovers. You even had Nate Ament mention, hey, when we take care of the ball, that's what kind of team you're going to see. That's pretty encouraging. Hey, looks like our guest is coming, Chris. I'm going to let you do the intro.
Well, coming to us live from the Boom Boom Room somewhere in Nashville, Tennessee, our good buddy Ron Slay. Ron, thanks, man. It's great being with you. Always good getting your take. Now, did you watch the hockey game from the Boom Boom Room this morning?
No, man. I actually was traveling this morning trying to get back to get some suits to go to Bristol. So, but all those flights got canceled on me. So, in the process of staying on the phone with, the Disney Global traveling and all that, how that goes.
I've been there, brother.
And all the flights being canceled, man. I just sat on back and I took me a nap. This time I had no rest.
You deserve it. You well deserved nap. So Slay, let's start here. You played in Memorial Gym many times. You played pickup there. You played real games there. Tough place to play against a really well coached, good Vandy basketball team. As you watch that game play out in the last few minutes yesterday, take me through that for what you're thinking, where Tennessee is now compared to where they were a month and a half ago, and sort of what they can do or what they can be going forward.
Man, first of all, I give credit to Byington, because it felt like he kind of broke out of his mode to kind of adapt to the way Tennessee played. Mm-hmm. And I honestly thought they should have played like Vanderbilt played, especially with Duke Miles coming back. I thought they just said, you know what, we're gonna be physical. They want a boxing match. We're gonna give them a boxing / rugby / football match. And I thought, man, they were super physical. Tennessee answered the bell, and I think it was the guys that were the usual the unusual suspects in this case that answered the bell more than anything, like Amari Evans, Dwayne Brown. We knew Bishop Boswell had it in him, but to play that long without fouling, I thought he answered the bell. Ethan Berg, answering the bell the last 2 games. So I think when you ask where's this team compared to where it was maybe a month, even 2 months ago, mentally they're stronger. I think that's one of the biggest part. This team would have broke. This team would have broke maybe about 3 weeks ago. Maybe not even a full month, but about 3 weeks ago. But this team now, man, it seems like they understand if we stick to what we do, we're okay with walking out of whatever arena, home, neutral, away, whatever it is, knowing that we did it our way. And I think they understand that's the message that Coach Barnes is going to push, and it's up to you to accept it. It looked like they've accepted it. They're not fighting City Hall anymore. They're like, this is how it's going to be. We're gonna roll with it, and it's been having success from it. So you got to give kudos, man, and you got to give kudos to this team. One of the biggest things I like the most, and you don't see this a lot from Barnes guys anyway, but the no whining, man. Like I thought yesterday was Nate Mint's biggest, toughest test. Like they literally beat him up, and I ain't the one to get out there and say, man, you got to protect them, or you got to let's even it up, not soften it a little bit. Dude, they were whooping them. They were whooping them. And it wasn't one time the dude dropped his head, put palms up, looked at Coach Barnes. He just got up every time, especially on the one where he fell and he was face down and everybody went over there to get on. I was like, come on, Nate, please get up. Please get up. Once he got up, it felt like one of them Rocky moments. Like, yeah, baby, sit back down, y'all. We're good. We're going to be all right. So, yeah, they're a different team, man, physically and mentally, the biggest part.
God, I wanted Nate to finish. By the way, Slay, thank you for joining us as always. Appreciate your time, man.
No doubt, man.
I wanted him to throw that baseline dunk down so badly. God, that would have been such a moment. But
I'm gonna tell you what. Like, it's been some moments in that gym in those Tennessee Vanderbilt matchups. The one, Grant Williams, when he got the and one, grabbed the ball, went into the stands and flexed on him. The other one that comes to mind immediately, Jordan Bowden.
Yes.
Jordan Bowden. That moment right there, you could feel it's very seldom as a fan that you can be watching at home and feel the tide turn. It turned with that dunk, and Tennessee was still losing when Bowden got that dunk. Mm-hmm. But at that moment, you feel like, oh yeah, this is over.
Yeah.
If Nate Mint threw that dunk down, that was going to be equivalent to that right there. I thought that man, because I think he needed it more so than anybody.
He was
just
like,
to let him know I'm here.
He was wound back.
He took off so far.
So, and you talked about, this is one of my big takeaways from that game yesterday. Obviously, I saw the same thing you did with Nate. It felt like they were just, they were doubling him everywhere. They were roughing him up, and I felt like Jacoby does what Jacoby does.
Yep.
But you nailed it with some of these performances, and it gives me some optimism for not just this season, but next season ahead too. Dwayne Brown is nice, man. 30 minutes yesterday, and stage didn't feel too big for him at all.
No, not at all. Yeah, more so than just him being out there with the minutes that he was logging. The man, they went to him.
Yeah.
They went to him and he delivered. Like that's big time next level, because the way they went to him was exactly like they would have went to JP Estrella.
Yeah.
What JP was doing was when he started to excel about 2 weeks ago, starting to understand, man, I get 2 feet in the paint, go score. It's the same thing Dwayne Brown was doing. He understood I have a smaller man on me. Do not dribble 8 times to back him down all the way underneath the rim. Just get your balance, turn over one shoulder, kiss it off the glass, and go on back down. Your job is done. Like, for him to understand that, I was honestly hoping, man, like, please go to him some more. So go to him some more, because maybe that'll like the fuse up on the Felix, and he'll understand that, man, I can score the same way he's doing, So that size, man, and him being able to use those hips and that strength, Dwayne Brown is going to be a monster. You got a core group
Oh,
You
yeah.
talking about some toughness. You talking about this is equivalent to, for me, to that Josiah Jordan James, Santi, that core group that came in. When you look at, if Ethan Berg continues to buy in like he is, Bishop Boswell leading, you know what I mean, him being a class above, but Dwayne Brown and Amari Evans, and we keep forgetting about, well, we're not forgetting about it, but he just hadn't been able to get on the floor, Troy Henderson.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be a nice piece too.
It's like, how much is this team learning to play now the way teams are going to play Amen through? Because this is going to be the blueprint. They're going to try to beat him up the rest of the way. They're going to double him, try to get the ball out of his hands. And you saw it a couple of times with Boswell. You mentioned Dwayne Brown. Guys are going to have opportunities. They're going to have some spacing because Nate's going to attract a crowd, man. And you're going to have guys who get open looks, who have chances to get the ball from Nate. We may have just lost Slade. Get the ball from Nate and take the ball to the basket. But Mike, when we get him back, we'll get him to answer. But
Sure.
How much this team is, because this is sort of new, because Nate has been such a stalwart for Tennessee over the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. I think we got you back now, Slade.
Yeah, I could hear you. I could still hear you.
Okay, how much is this team learning to play now, and how important will that be going forward? Because of Nate and who he is, and the way teams are going to play him, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for guys.
It's gonna be a whole lot, and I think the biggest part is understanding that Nate is unselfish, but he's selfish enough to what this team needs him to be, what Coach Barnes needs him to be, for everybody else to get those looks that you're talking about. I think it was a process. I think Gillespie had to understand it at first, because remember, the doubles were coming at him early on. Now it's shifted to Nate Amen. But you having guys like Bishop Boswell, and this is the craziest part, man. This is what we were screaming in the past. It's just somehow these guys have grasped it. We were screaming in the past for guys like Jemai Mashak. Even Zakai was the only one that had that attitude of, if I'm on the floor long enough, it's going to be opportunities that present itself for me to score. I got to play the defense to stay on the floor, but do the other intangibles. And if I'm on the court long enough, it'll be plenty of opportunities for me to score. Boswell has understood that. He's had many opportunities where you look at it and be like, man, I wish he would just drive and go. Early on in the season, he wasn't doing that. Yesterday, you saw him. The drive into the guy's chest and finishing with the and one, then coming back and going right over Duke Miles while he was pivoting. A lot of times, the guys that get put in those roles would start pivoting, trying to find Gillespie, trying to find Nate Amen. So they're understanding of what you're saying, CeeLo. They see that, like, these are my spots. I can get to my spot and raise up and shoot. And honestly, the other team doesn't expect that because nobody scouts for to guard the other guys. There's only two guys every single time. It's Nate Amen and it's Jacoby Gillespie. So when it's presented, man, Dwayne Brown is the same thing. He had to learn from a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. When you get the rebound, brother, yes, we would love to have a three on the kick out. But dude, you too big. Go back up. Sometimes that's the best. Even Jalen Carey, as many layups as he misses, at least he's going up and putting it on the rim and giving the other bigs opportunities. Because he's one thing he is doing is taking up two bodies. Like he is jumping in the guys, like his wide body. He's throwing the ball up on the rim and is giving an opportunity for Felix to get tip ins, Estrella, Amari Evans to come crashing in. So yeah, man, they're feeding on it. They're feeding into it, and they're reading it really well, and taking their opportunities.
Now, you mentioned Ethan Berg a few minutes ago, and I wanted to get your take on this because we've been watching, and I mean, this guy has gone from, at one point it felt like he was unplayable, right?
Yeah.
He was at the end of the bench.
He was, Bob, I'm just going to stop you. He was in Rick Barnes' witness protection program is where he was.
There you go.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, it started with the LSU game, where he's out on the floor. And when he comes out, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Let's see what happens. It just felt like it was always an adventure. But now within a week's time, it feels like he's in the circle of trust again. He looked confident out there. And I listened to his comments post-game from the LSU game. And man, the guy, now I'm rooting for him I'm all in because the humility he showed there. He said it. He was like, "Hey, I deserved where I was."
Yeah.
And now my question to you as a former player at a high level, and you didn't sit the bench like that, but it's like that's got to be tough, man, to work your way back in like he did. That's some pretty impressive stuff.
It is, but it's two sides to that too. You're rooting for him, Bob, because you're rooting for a guy that has understanding.
Yeah.
You're like, you want him to put the pressure on the coach to put him in the game because he understands what his role is. Shoot the open shot. No hesitate. We don't need you in there throwing lobs, trying to do floaters, go between your legs. We don't need you to create. We got some people to create. At some point, you will advance to that role to where you're the creator. But for now, you're the receiver. It's cool. Understand that. Before that, he was on the opposite end. You want guys like that on the bench. I'm one of those guys that was cheering for Rick. Rick, get him out the game. What are you doing? This man don't understand what his role is. The ball coming to him, he wide open, he pump faking, trying to go create again. What are you doing, dog? That's not what we need you to do. So now that it's reversed and you see the maturity happening right here live in front of us, it's like, yes, you understand exactly what your role is. Yeah, I promise you, it advances. One of my biggest things was coming off the bench. I didn't care if Jerry Green looked down there to go get Slip, Harris Walker, Terrence Woods, Dale, but it don't matter who it was. If he looked, I felt that look was for me. I was getting up. He gonna have to tell me go sit back down. And guess what? I'm gonna go out there and give the energy that when as soon as everybody see me get up, everybody else in the crowd getting up too. Like, yeah, that's what we've been waiting on. That's but that's what you want because I know my role. My role wasn't to come in and score 30. My role wasn't it was supposed to come in and change the energy of the game, whether that be scoring, whether it be rebounding, whether it be diving for a loose ball, whatever it happened to be. That was my role my freshman year. Then the second year, it advanced. You got a little bit more responsibility going into your junior year and so forth on. So you got to understand it when you come in, man. Like this ain't where you came from. You come and establish yourself somewhere else, man, especially with a guy like Coach Barnes. He doesn't seen it all.
I'll use an analogy that you'll appreciate, Slay. Watching Berg play earlier was like my classmate Anthony Richardson, a.k.a. Slim Dog, used to say he was out there for cardio only. He wouldn't look at the rim. Yeah. Slim Dog, one of Slay's running mates on the road, but he would not look at the rim. And now he is. And he's looking to make something happen.
Absolutely.
And, well, that will be huge for this team. If they can continue to get Amari, you talk about Amari, you talk about Berg, maybe they could get Henderson out there, get JP Estrella, Brown. Because you know what? And I'm sitting there beside you in Detroit a few years ago. When you get into the tournament, you got to have guys make shots and make plays that aren't in the top 5 or 6.
Yep.
And that's sort of what we're starting to see now from this ball team.
That's exactly it, Lo. That's exactly it. From my time playing on, I'm gonna tell you what, man. Speaking of them NCAA tournament runs, I remember I was sitting next to a parent, a current guy's parent, and they were on the team. They got in last year. Oh, what was it? I forgot the shooter that was being chased, but he was put in for defensive purposes. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. When he got in the game, it was many times he was open, and they were saying, "Shoot it! You got to shoot that one."
Yeah.
And at halftime, when the halftime came, after I didn't go in the concourse with Low and them, this was before I went up in the concourse. I told the parent, I was like, "Man, I promise you, next year, that shot that you saying for him to shoot, he gonna feel comfortable shooting. He's not gonna be looking over his shoulder. That's gonna be his role. Right now, that's not his role. He's supposed to hit Chaz coming off of this screen or pass it back to Zakai, go set a down screen, catch a slip going to the basket to get a shot, something similar to that, but it's a whole different role. And right now, man, that same kid is flourishing because he understood and he didn't let all the outside noise affect what was going on. He believed in what the system was and he stayed with it. And we see vice versa. There was another guy, Cam Carr, who didn't believe in the system, who, if you imagine dropping him in on the team last year or coming back for this year, Cam Carr is a bona fide first round pick on this team with a lesser output. So them same numbers that he's doing at Baylor, he come right here on this Tennessee team and averaging 14 or 15. He's first round with this same class, freshman class and everything that's going on. He's first round, no ifs, ands, or buts. So that's what it's about. It's about waiting your time, man, and understanding where it goes. And when it comes, man, it's beautiful to watch, man. But you get, especially right now with this NIL, dog. It's hard to sit there on your hands, man. But if you wait, you'll be rewarded.
Yeah,
I mean, what would Ron Slay have commanded NIL?
Hey, man, Lo, I'm gonna be honest. You know what? Knowing the network that Tennessee has, I would have gave the university a smooth little discount. I just know the discount probably would have been about 2.5. But boy, I'm talking about off the floor though. Woo! It would have had to be some backroom conversations, man, with some car lots and restaurants and everything. We got to make up for it on this back end.
I love it.
I'm telling you.
I love it. Hey, kind of related to that note, I'm going to throw something out, and Chris and I haven't even talked about this, but I was thinking about this yesterday because I'm getting a little, I guess I'm getting a little melancholy because, man, we're watching Nate ascend, and now the time is winding down, and now I'm seeing the NBA mocks where he's kind of rising again.
Yeah.
And this freshman class is so ridiculous across the country.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Could there be a world where he would stay? If he have a shot at being the number one pick next season? Am I just out of my mind?
No, Bob. No, Bob, you right on. That world is called the fanatic world. That's why I was all us ball fans. Yeah. This is what we live in right now. But in the real world, when you this hot, you gotta go. And the separator for him, other than like all of these guys that are coming out, besides DeBonsa and Burry's got a little size on him, about 6'4". You got a couple of guys out there. Kingston Flemings ain't just short, but you got guards, real life guards, point guards that handle the ball in this class. Not many wings.
Yeah.
You got Mullins up at UConn, DeBonsa that I mentioned. You got a couple of guys, but then you got those guys that are tweeners. You know, Sanak down there at Houston. You got Cam Boozer, Cole Pete. You got those guys that's in between, not really power forwards, but can get out there and stretch it out a little bit. Nate's different for this group. Like Nate is a true small forward in positionless basketball. You know what I'm saying? So he can play a two. You know, he can play without the ball. He can bring the ball up. So to me, that's I think everybody was waiting to see the strength. Him be able to get to his spots and stay at it and understand where his spots are. He was trying to get there earlier, but he was getting knocked off. Remember all those leaning shots? They started to fall a little bit for him. Now it's more he getting to the spots and he's squaring up. So I think, man, now he got to go. He's scorching. He's scorching. This right here is what we wanted to see in November when we saw every other freshman flourishing. Yep. And Rick was like, "Oh, y'all just hold on. Everybody be cool." And you were hearing out of the camp, out of practices, like, man, Nate is something else. And everybody saying that's watching him play, like, oh, what are y'all talking? Y'all got to be saying something different in practice. Well, this is what everybody was seeing in practice, what we seeing now.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get you out here on this slate. And this is where Nate will contribute to next year's team and the next year's team. Is there's a lot of kids out there right now who are watching who can play.
Yes.
We say, wait, look at what Barnes and the staff have done with this kid. We knew the kid could play. He had skills. He was talented. Look how much more tougher he is.
Yeah.
Look how much more equipped he is to handle the contact. Look at how he's getting to his spot now and shooting, as you say, square up, shooting that jumper and not off balance and sort of like leaning back. Kids are watching that. And Rick can go out and say, he will. Listen, let me show you some film of Nate Ament when he came in.
Yeah.
Let me show you some film of Nate Ament when he went out. That's as good a recruiting tool as Tennessee has and will have. And that's where he's going to, in my mind, you weigh in, that's where he's going to have the greatest impact on Tennessee basketball going forward because of what he became under Rick Barnes and the way he toughened up, grew up, and became a much more complete basketball player.
Yeah, he completed the cycle. He completed the cycle from watching guys that come from a JUCO, get a little bit of acclaim, and come in and be able to be given the rock, like a Dalton Connect, and be able to excel. And then the same thing with Chaz, to go to a mid-major, and have you be able to get your buckets. You coming in average 20. And then you come from North Florida and you take it up a notch, and you learn to play a little bit more defense. So you get that polishing. So you know what that is, being able to hit the portal. Now, like CeeLo saying, you look at what Nate Mint has done and versus what Kentucky has been able to do. And it's like, okay, why would I have to go there? You know what I'm saying? It's a reason they wasn't able to go get guys to stick at UK. So being able to go get a guy like Nate Mint and guys watch him and say, man, we can get polished up and we're protected. I think that's one of the biggest things. If not for the kid that's coming in, the parents that are coming in, polished, protected. Rick stood out in front of him with a shield and let nobody get to him, and he blocked out all the noise to where he could be able to grow into what he is right now. And now he blossomed. So here we are.
Well, listen, man, dinner's on me. They're national for the SEC tournament. Slay. Dinner and hey, you get this, dinner and drinks.
Oh, yeah.
Dinner.
Yeah. Old fashions all night long, baby.
And I look forward to it, man. You're the best. And we are so proud of what you continue to. I mean, you're a star, dude. You were a star when you were on the court at Tennessee, but we're so proud of you repping the way you are on ESPN and SEC Network. And man, I hear all the time from fans, man, Slay was a lot of fun to watch play. He's been more fun on TV.
I appreciate it, Lo, man. Y'all groom me the right way, dog. Y'all groom me the right way.
You're always styling and profiling. Ric Flair had nothing on you, brother, when you're on set. So
I'm just missing the limos and the jets, see, Lo.
That's right.
Part of it then I can be woo.
Hey, man, thanks a lot. Great stuff. We appreciate it, and we will definitely catch up in Nash Vegas here in a few weeks. All right.
No doubt. Appreciate you, Lo. Appreciate you, Bob.
All right. Thank you, Ron.
All
right. Let's that's man.
We could obviously talk for another hour with the Slay Rod. He's the best, and really he is. I think, and I'm biased. He's my buddy. I've known him forever. He's as good as there is right now on TV.
Oh, he's fantastic. Now it kind of came to surprise me when I'd be watching a national game on a weeknight. They'd go to the studio at halftime, and there he is. I mean, good for him and good for ESPN figuring it out, because the guy is entertaining. There's no doubt.
He checks all the boxes. He knows the game.
Yep.
He's got energy galore. He's fun. He's entertaining, and he makes it real. The thing I told him, we were talking several weeks ago, the other thing he does, Bob, is, and I'm not going to mention anybody by name, sometimes analysts get on there and they talk a little bit over fans' head. Slay speaks to the layman. The hoops layman. He can explain what's going on, why they're doing what they're doing in layman's terms. And I think that's what most consumers want when they listen to an analyst or a color commentator or someone who's a studio host. And he's excellent at that.
No, I agree. Good for him, man. That's and really appreciate him making some time for us. He's the first two-time guest on the Lowdown. So appreciate that, and appreciate you setting all that up. Let's talk a little bit about our sponsor as we wind down the show, the Tate Insurance Group. They are your local insurance team, and they are proud to call East Tennessee home. Just like our Vols, they know what it takes to overcome obstacles, to give their all, and show true volunteer spirit for the community. And it runs the gamut, man. Home, auto, business coverage. They provide personal service you can count on. It's like working with a friend. And again, they care about what you care about, because this is where they live too. Tate Insurance Group, local, trusted, always in your corner, right here at home. If you want to learn more about them, give them a call. They'll absolutely take your call. They'd be happy to talk to you. You can reach them on the phone, area code 865-862-8233. That's 862-8233. Or if you just want to learn more about the agency themselves and Scott Tate, you can go to TateInsuranceGroup.com. Again, great people, great company, Tate Insurance Group. And we appreciate their support, as always, on the Lowdown. Okay, as we wind the show down, we'll stay on basketball for just a second, Chris. And I shared this with you a little bit earlier. This was from our friends at, well, frenemies, we'll call them, at Kentucky Sports Radio. They had put together pretty, I think, kind of an enlightening graphic in terms of the SEC tournament. And it's about what would happen if the SEC regular season ended today. Now, that's a lot of provisional talk, right? There's still 4 games left. But like we said, Tennessee's situated nicely at the moment. They would be, at this point, Chris, if the season ended today, regular season, Tennessee would be the official. They'd have sole possession of second place in terms of seeding. They would be the 2 seed in the SEC conference tournament, which is kind of bananas to think about, given where, like Slay said, where we were just a couple of weeks ago with this team. But let me bounce this draw off of you, because we would get a double bye. We would play the winner, more than likely. Georgia would be playing LSU in the very first round. Then Georgia would advance to play Texas in the second round. And then in the quarterfinals, we, Tennessee, would play the winner of Georgia and Texas. And if we win that game, we would play the winner of Alabama, likely Alabama, because there's Missouri and Auburn in that bottom side of the bracket. But we could be playing Alabama in the semifinals. And I look at that and I'm like, again, there's still some games to be played. We got to take care of business. But if this kind of played out that way, I'd feel pretty good about it. I mean, I think Tennessee could win one game and maybe even get to the finals. Florida looks like they're a wagon right now. They're going to be tough to handle. But I just thought this was interesting to see. Again, it speaks to how far this team has come. We're having that kind of a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Well, Florida's best team in the conference. I saw where they were projected, a number 3 seed?
Yep.
They're not 8 better teams in college basketball right now than Florida. Now, we all know you're one and done in March, so all it takes is one bad game or one game where you're missing free throws or you can't make a 3. But they are a good basketball team with a lot of talent, a lot of answers, bigs, guards. But I thought the way Tennessee started around, and I thought Slay's – he made a lot of great points, but to me, the point that just, as I sit here thinking about an interview with him, that rings home, Bob, is this is a mentally stronger Tennessee basketball team, much more so than a month ago. And you're starting to see that play out. And that's what you got to have. And I think if they can get into the top 4, whether they're second or third, get that extra day of rest, because, I know the committee always sort of poo-poos this, but I'm just not a big believer, unless you lose early in your conference tournament, that you can really make a huge jump by what you do in your conference tournament. I think that bracket is pretty close to being drawn up, put together. But just the rest, because, man, you go into that gauntlet of the NCAA, having to play 3 straight days, certainly not 4 straight days, but even 3 straight days, and then you got to try and play maybe on Thursday in a regional somewhere, and travel, because who knows where you're going to be. So I think rest at that point and not having to play as many games probably is about as important as anything. So, but no, I think getting that would be a really nice accomplishment for Tennessee if they could get up in among those 2 or 3 top seeds in the SEC tournament. Because probably more important than that is, could they find a way here these last 4 games to play their way in to a top 4 seed? And listen, where you're seated, Tennessee's, and this speaks to the consistency under Rick, has been pretty much a 2, 3, or 4 seed every year over the last, 4 years, something like that, somewhere in the top 4. I think they were 2 or 3 each of the last 2 years. They were 4 the year they beat Duke and Orlando. So getting in that top 4 gives you potentially the kind of draw to get to that second weekend. Because once you get to that second weekend, who knows, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And I'm with you. I've been saying for a couple of weeks now, let's get a top 4 seed. We don't need to win the conference tournament. I just don't buy that anymore. I prefer maybe you win a game and you get to the semifinals, and if you lose, you lose, but you get the rest, but you don't have the whole, there's always that debate about rest versus rust, right? Maybe you get one game in, a couple games in rather, and then, just move on and get ready for the next thing that really matters most. And that's being in the field of 68 and what happens there. So, and then to put a bow on things, we talked about it for a minute at the beginning of the show, but all that I keep thinking about today, Chris, is that toothless smile of Jack Hughes on Team USA hockey. That was a pretty great moment today, hearing him and his interview post game. You know, after scoring what they called the golden goal, right? The game winner in overtime, he talked about this is about how proud he is to be an American, USA, all that stuff. It particularly in this day and age, we needed a little of that. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Did you see the documentary on Netflix about the 80 team where they went back and those players on that team went back to Lake Placid and they interviewed a lot of it. It was I would suggest anybody certainly that was around during that time to go back and watch that. And I challenge you to get through that without shedding a lot of tears.
Yeah, I've heard that from another friend of mine who has watched it.
So well done. I watched it as fate would have it last night because I knew the gold medal game was today. And Mike Urzioni, the captain of that team, said there at the end of the documentary, he says, we need a 1980 right now. The way that team and that accomplishment brought the country together. And let's hope that maybe today was a little bit like that. But no, I would say for all young kids who play sports to go watch Hughes's interview. Didn't talk about himself. He talked about his team. He talked about his teammates and how much he loved his team and his teammates. And he talked about his country and how this was for America and how much he loved being an American.
Yeah.
That was so refreshing to hear that kind of interview. And it's not I, me. It's about everybody else but him.
Exactly.
Team sports is all about.
Yeah, the thing that got me was then when they went, they honored that Johnny Gaudreau, who was tragically killed and would have maybe been a part of this team. They brought his little children out for the team picture with his jersey, and I mean, boy, it was some good stuff today. And yeah, I think if you're an American and you saw that stuff, you couldn't help but feel good on a Sunday. That was pretty great. So I feel pretty great doing another show with you, man. It's always good. We had a good one today. We appreciate Ron Slade joining us as always. And we appreciate all of you out there giving us a watch and a listen. Again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube if you're watching us on the Rocky Top Insider channel or downloading us if you're listening to us as a podcast. Many thanks to our great sponsor, the Tate Insurance Group. We'll be back next week with 2 more Vol basketball games to recap. Hopefully they'll be wins. We'll keep the momentum going. Probably check in on Vol baseball too, because they had a bit of a tough weekend this week against Kent State, who's a very good team, by the way. But we'll talk about Vol baseball and how that's progressing because, it's a work in progress. We know that. But
their first non-conference series loss since 2000.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a while, and it's a lot of new faces.
Yeah.
A lot of younger guys, new staff for the most part. I never thought this was going to be a team to start the season that was just going to blow everybody out. We'll find a lot more about this team as they go to Texas this coming week. But they were picked 6th or 7th in the SEC, and as you know, Bob, anywhere from 4th to 8th or 9th in the SEC in baseball could potentially get you to the College World Series. So we'll see how they bounce back. But no, there's a lot of growing that this team will need. And they booted around, walked people, hit batsmen today, the kind of things you can get better at. And I think they will get better.
And I think Kent State's like one of the top picks out of the MAC too. I mean, they're probably
they're good. They're a solid team. They're much better than McNeese State. A much more realistic test for Tennessee. And they're going to have even tougher tests this coming weekend. So, one thing. Hey, I ask fans, go to the GoFundMe page, help Wes Rucker's family, Lauren and Hank, his wife and little boy. Please do that best you can. Just find that GoFundMe page. His sister Molly set it up, and help that family. I know Wes would certainly would appreciate it.
Here. Yeah, absolutely. Hey man, again, enjoyed doing the show with you as always, Chris. I hope you have a good week ahead, and to all of you out there. Hope you have a great week ahead as well. Keep it locked in on Rocky Top Insider for the best Tennessee Vol coverage anywhere. And we'll look forward to joining you right here next time on the RTI Lowdown.